All right, today we're diving into a really complex story coming out of Uruguay, a nation that's been celebrated, and for good reason, as a digital pioneer. But behind all that success, there's a serious paradox, a crisis that, honestly, serves as a major warning for any country that's racing into a digital future.
See, on the surface, Uruguay looks like a model for digital progress. But when you look just a little bit closer, a deeply troubling contradiction starts to appear. So let's unpack that paradox.
On one hand, you've got this digital leader, right? Ranked #1 in all of Latin America for its e-government and its cyber framework. Impressive stuff. But on the other hand, you have a catastrophic security failure, with the personal data of millions of its citizens stolen and just put up for sale. So, the big question is, how can both of these things be true at the exact same time?
Well, to find the answer, we have to follow the evidence. And that trail leads us right into the digital underworld, where the proof of this massive failure is on full public display.
That trail takes us to a site called DarkForums. Now, if that name doesn't sound familiar, it's the successor to the infamous Breach Forums, which was taken down by law enforcement. It's basically a central hub for the entire cybercrime economy, a place where hackers buy, sell, and trade stolen data like it's any other commodity.
And this number, it shows you just how incredibly resilient these criminal networks are. After its predecessor got shut down, you'd think things would slow down. Nope. DarkForums saw its user base explode by 600% in just 2 months. It's a stark reminder. You cut off one head of the Hydra, and another, even bigger one, grows right back in its place.
And on that forum, you find what can only be described as a horrifying catalog of compromised Uruguayan government data. And look, this isn't just one or two isolated little incidents. We are talking about the National ID Registry, the main e-government agency, the Ministry of Social Development, the Ministry of Public Health. This was a systemic, across-the-board failure.
And just to put that into perspective for a second, a single breach, just one, from the National ID and Civil Registry exposed 3.2 million records. That is nearly the entire population of the country. Think about that.
But amongst all of this stolen data, there's one item that stands out as a true national security level crisis. This, right here, is the smoking gun. Now, to understand why this is so important, we got to quickly talk about something called public key infrastructure, or PKI. Just think of it as the bedrock, the foundation of digital trust. In Uruguay, it powers over 190 government services, and here's the key part. A digital signature using this system is legally the exact same as signing a document with a pen. It holds up in court.
So, this is the number of those digital signatures, those high-trust, legally binding digital identities that were stolen.
And here's the absolute kicker. These keys weren't just stolen, their passwords were also cracked. This is so critical because it transforms the threat from some potential risk down the road into an immediate, active danger. The criminals don't have to do any more work. It's like they've been handed the master keys to the entire country, and they can start the engine right now.
I mean, really think about what that means. It's as if a criminal has a perfect legal copy of your handwritten signature and your ID. They can legally sign contracts, open up bank accounts, access your most sensitive health records, all in your name. It's a recipe for mass identity theft and fraud on a national scale.
So who is behind all this? Because this wasn't just some random act of digital vandalism. All the evidence points to a specific, persistent attacker who's been targeting Uruguay for quite a while.
The attacks were attributed to a threat actor who operates under the alias Uruguayan1337, and this isn't their first rodeo, not by a long shot. They have a well-documented history of high-profile attacks against the Uruguayan government.
And they're not shy about their motives. After one hack, they left this message, basically calling out the government and its political agenda. This is classic hacktivism, using a cyber attack to shout a political statement from the rooftops.
But their profile is actually a lot more complex than just that. They seem to have this dual motivation. On one hand, they deliver these political messages, but at the same time, they're selling the data they steal for profit. They're also part of an international network and are even linked to a highly capable actor known for breaching massive corporations like Cisco and Huawei. So we're not talking about some kid in a basement. This is a sophisticated, globally connected criminal.
So how on earth did a supposed digital leader become so vulnerable? To find the answer, we need to zoom out and look at the root cause. And it's really a story of ambition getting way ahead of reality.
And this chart really nails the core problem. Uruguay's digital transformation was incredibly fast and ambitious. That's the tall bar. But its investment in cyber defense, the people and tools to protect all that new tech, just couldn't keep up. This created a massive security gap, a kind of cyber debt that attackers are now cashing in on with interest.
And the consequence of this debt? It's stark. Cyber attacks absolutely skyrocketed, from just under 5,000 in 2023 to over 14,000 in 2024. Let me put it another way. That averages out to one attack on the government every 30 minutes.
And these attacks have devastating real-world consequences. Just take the ransomware attack on the Paysandu City Hall. Hackers encrypted all the city's data, demanded a $650,000 ransom, and completely crippled essential services like payroll for months. It just showed a complete lack of capacity to respond effectively.
Okay, this all paints a pretty grim picture. So, given this crisis, what is the path forward for Uruguay? How does a country even begin to repay this massive cyber debt?
Well, the government has responded with new legislation, like the 2024 cybercrime law. And look, modernizing laws is a good, crucial step. But it's fundamentally reactive. Laws punish crimes after they happen. They don't do much to prevent the operational failures that allow them to happen in the first place.
No, the real solution requires a major strategic shift, from being reactive to being proactive. First, you have to contain the immediate threat. Revoke all 30,000 of those compromised certificates right now. Second, you have to invest in people. Hire and train experts to fill the nation's 600-person cybersecurity skill gap. And third, you modernize the systems by mandating basic but absolutely critical security controls like multi-factor authentication. Ultimately, Uruguay's story is more than just about one country. It's a powerful cautionary tale for all of us. And it forces us to ask a really critical question about our own increasingly digital world. As we all race to innovate and digitize every part of our lives, how do we make sure our ambition doesn't end up creating a hidden security debt that one day we'll all have to pay?